Hi, hello. Welcome to my reselling channel, Flippin Hippos. I'm Star. Today's Tutorial Tuesday, and I'm going to show you how to schedule your listings on eBay. Last week, it came up in conversation with other resellers that I bank my listings, and a couple of them asked me, how do you schedule your listings on eBay? So I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to come on here and share my screen and show you how to do just that. It hasn't been that long that eBay has allowed you to schedule listings for free. For a long time, they would charge you per listing to schedule. So we didn't really ever use it. Even if we were on vacation or going to go out all day and not be home, I didn't really use it because I didn't want to pay for it. But the minute eBay opened that up and said, hey, we're going to allow you to schedule your listings for free, I took advantage of that. I keep approximately 300 listings in my List Perfectly catalog in my bank. Roughly 100 of them are actually built out and ready to go. I spend 1 to 2 hours a couple days a week, sometimes a little bit more, just taking photos. And I run those through List Perfectly's AI, and that builds up that bank. And then I spend the same amount of time spread out through several days building listings from those photos. And then each day I can push out 10 or 15, whatever I'm pushing out to eBay and the other platforms that day. This is a system that has worked for me for a long time. I like this system. I have 21 days scheduled out on eBay, and then I have that huge bank and List Perfectly to work from. I want to kind of talk about why it's a good idea to have banks and why it's important for resellers to have these systems in place for the just in case. But if you're only here for the tutorial part of the video and you just want to see me really quickly show you how to schedule your listings on eBay, I'm going to show you that first. And then if you want to stick around after you've seen how to do that, we will talk a little bit about the importance of banks and why it's something I encourage all resellers to do. So let's go over here to eBay. I have a listing ready to go. So you would just create your listing just like any other listing. Make sure your categories are right. This would be an end splitter. I'm not really listing this, but for the sake of pretending, I would go through these suggested item specifics and check everything that applies. I love this new system here. It's been around for a couple of months now, but you used to have to go through the item specifics all by yourself and choose all of this. Now the AI picks up on it from your title, and you just kind of check boxes and it fills everything in. It's so fantastic. I just did a video Saturday talking about how much I like technology and AI and where it's moving, because the amount of time I spend on listings is drastically reduced. I'm faster. I'm more productive. I love the tools. I just do. I love AI. All right, so you come down here. Once you've got your item specifics filled in, your description, under your price, before you get to your shipping, it says schedule your listing. You just toggle that on, and then you choose a date, today or in the future, and then you choose a time. And you can go out 21 days, 3 weeks. Today's the 12th. You can go out 1, 2, 3 weeks. I will tell you, it's down to the time. So if I wanted to schedule on that 21st day, and it's 2:20 p.m. Eastern time right now, I couldn't schedule for later than that. So you can go 21 days out to the time. So you can't schedule that 21st day after the current time that you're scheduling. And then you just list like you always would. It's that simple. And then you can schedule times as well. So if you want to schedule, say, 10 listings a day for the 21 days, you don't have to just schedule the 10 to come in all at one dump. You can do 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., etc. I have friends who space stuff out and have something coming live every hour for 24 hours just to keep their stores busy and active. It's whatever you want to do. But I do definitely recommend having a bank. So let's talk about why and then the easiest way to build that bank. So the why and the how. You don't go from not having a bank at all and barely listing 10 a day to having what I have. It takes time. So we'll talk about that. But first, let's talk about the why. You always want your store to be consistent because consistency is what drives sales. So if you're always scheduled out, your posts are coming active every day, your listings. And if you schedule them out 1 an hour for 10 hours, say you do 10 a day, they're always going to consistently come on at 7, 8, 9, 10 a.m. So if you have a day where your shipping is heavier and that's taking you longer and you don't have scheduled listings, then your listings are starting later in the day, which is fine. I mean, basically you just need to be consistent and list every day. But there is some theory to the fact that if it's every day at 7, 8, 9, 10, etc., versus some days it's at 10 a.m., some days it's at noon, consistency is key. You stay more active in the search algorithms, the more active you are. An active store is a happy store. The biggest reason I am a supporter of having banks is because it protects you when life happens. When you're sick, someone in your family is sick, you have an unexpected emergency, you're traveling, something comes up with your family or your pet, you have a day where you just lose motivation. You have several days in a row. I mean, life can really happen. Sometimes life can really happen. Your eBay store will not know the difference. If you have the flu for 4 days and you can't get out of bed, your eBay store will not know the difference. If you have scheduled listings, your consistency for those 4 days will remain in place. Whereas if you're someone who doesn't have banks, you have no listings going up for 4 days. You lose all momentum, you lose all activity, you lose all consistency. And when you come back after being sick, you have to start over from the beginning. The minute you're not listing and not consistent, that does affect you because eBay's algorithm really likes that daily activity. So having banks in place keeps your store actively listing every single day, no matter what you're doing or what life is doing, and eBay will never know the difference. And I think that is what is so important. It can also prevent burnout. Having banks can absolutely prevent burnout. And it makes you, I think, a little bit more productive and streamlines your processes and makes you faster. So, for instance, you list 10 items a day. You have no banks. You have to photograph those 10 items, measure them, and list them all in one day. If you get to the point where you have banks in place, I mean, you have to get there first. We're going to talk about that. But once you get to where you have banks in place, you don't have to take 10 items, photograph, measure, and list. You have this block of time, whether you choose to have 1 day or just a block in your day. We've talked about time blocking before, right? You have a block of time where you're just photographing. Then you have another block of time where you're just drafting, or what I call building the listings. Then you have another block of time where you're just posting them. That makes your workflow faster and easier than someone who's trying to do all the tasks in one day. It's called batch work, it's called workflow, it's called time blocking, and it makes you much more efficient. I sit down each morning right after I do shipping and push out all my listings for the day to all my platforms. By 9:30 a.m. every morning, I have finished all of my actual listing for the day. And then I can spend the rest of the day on my time blocks, photographing, drafting, and saving those in my bank. And it actually has made me much more productive. I started keeping banks for a very different reason, because we had a period of time where a lot was going on in our lives and we didn't list for a few days, and we really felt that hit. We felt it in our sales, and I decided I needed to build banks. Scheduling is free now, and so I built those banks just to keep my store active when life happened. But I found so many other reasons to do it and so many benefits after I started doing it. And the biggest one is just that workflow. I'm so much faster. I can quickly get my listings out in the morning. Now, mind you, I said I do my listings in the morning. I'm scheduled 21 days ahead, right? So when I'm doing those listings in the morning, I'm scheduling on that last day. And today's listings are already there. So if something were to happen in the morning or something were to happen that I couldn't work that day, eBay's covered. eBay has listings going out. And I can't really say that for the other platforms, but most of us, you know, our biggest selling platform is eBay. And I also think eBay's the least forgiving. I feel like you can skip a day on some of these other platforms as long as you're consistent every day. Skip a day, consistent every day. It's more forgiving. eBay is not as forgiving. You need to be active every day. So that time in the morning is really when I'm just posting to the other platforms and making sure eBay's scheduled out. But I'm done. It's fast. And then I can spend the rest of the day just building those banks. So another question I get from folks is, you know, I don't understand why you would have all of these items sitting in your bank and not just list them. Because it's the same philosophy that you're using when you don't have banks, except I'm doing things in that batch. So let's say you and me both go out and buy 100 pairs of jeans. And we're going to list 10 a day for the next 10 days. You're going to each day photograph, measure, and list 10 pairs. And the other pairs are sitting in a pile. You're still not going to get to those until, you know, you work your through 10 a day, but they sit in that pile. I'm going to take all 100 pairs and measure and photograph them the first day. And then the second and third days, start drafting, and then I'll start pushing them out. So where yours would sit in a pile until you worked on them, mine would be sitting in my List Perfectly catalog, already photographed and put away in my inventory system in the garage, out of my office, out of sight, out of mind. But it's the same thing. So when you ask me, well, why would you just build all these listings and then sit on them and just not list them? Because I'm making them last, but in a different way than you are. You're working from your pile a little bit at a time. I get my pile photographed and out of my office as quick as I can, and then I work on building those listings and pushing them out. So hopefully that makes sense about that. It's just a different way of working. I highly recommend banks because of all the things we've already talked about. And it can help you really build momentum when you have those time blocks. You know you're doing these things these days, and you can easily push out from your bank each morning and get those listings done. It makes your goals easier. It helps you during slow sourcing periods. It just kind of gives you a better sense of control. So how do you go from a zero bank to what I have? Well, just add a little bit each day. So we're going to keep going with this example of listing 10 a day, because that seems to be the general, what most folks do. If you list 10 a day, I am sure that it is possible for you to list 15 a day. Just add 5 or 2, do 12, add just a couple, but whatever you feel you can bite off and chew. So you add 5 a day, but you just let them sit and you list your 10 and you do that for a whole week. You're going to have, let's say you only work Monday through Friday, you're going to have 25 extra listings at the end of that week. So the next week, you're going to have 50. So then you start scheduling those out on eBay, but you're still working on your 15 a day. If you do this consistently, eventually you're going to have all of those 21 days filled out and you're still consistently doing 15 a day. Now you have your bank. You just have to build up to it just a little bit at a time. just by adding a few extra each day and saving those. Do first in, first out. So if you had the pile of 100 jeans from that example before, and you work from the top down, taking 10 a day, the way you would do banks is the same method. The ones that are listed first would go onto eBay scheduled first. But it's the same thing. If it took you 100 days to list 100 pairs of jeans, it's going to take that long whether you work your way through the pile one at a time or have a bank and push out one at a time. It's the same thing, except I think it's a little more efficient. Because once you get to the point where you have your scheduled listings all the way to the last day and you have that extra bank, then you can really start really pumping it out and take a whole day to do pictures. I know a lot of people don't like to do pictures, but if you take a whole day or a half a day, put a movie on, make it fun, and just take a ton of pictures, then you can sit and do drafts. You're going to get more work done. I guarantee you're going to be more productive. That's one of the things I noticed. It was a benefit that I didn't expect when I started building banks. So that is the why and the how, and then I've showed you how to do it on eBay. So now you're all set. I highly recommend it. And when we start getting into summer slowdown and you have that little bit of extra time on your hands, that's a good time to start building your banks as well. Don't put it off till then, clearly, but we're about to get into the busy tax season. So don't bite off more than you can chew. Just try to do an extra little bit each day and get it to where you can take a day off. I mean, I mentioned all of the things that can happen, but what if you just decide one day, I don't want to work. I want to play hooky. I don't want to work. I want to go and do something fun, or I just want to play hooky. You can do that, and your store won't suffer for it. So I feel strongly. That's how I feel about building banks. I think everyone should be doing it. If you have questions, comments, concerns about anything you saw in this video, let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and help me feed a hungry hippo. I'll see you in the next one.